Hey cats, what's happening? It is, I think, the 7th of January. It has been very rainy today, very windy, but thankfully in the 60s. It's like a spring day. I guess people across the country are getting worse weather. Some people are getting inundated with snow, blizzard type. Some of them are getting flooded. And we were almost at flood conditions today, but we're on high ground, so we really don't have to worry. But since we can't ride, let's talk biker stuff, huh? Let's get all of us bikers together here and chat for a little bit. We're going to talk about biker acronyms or euphemisms, the biker lingo, some of the things that bikers like to say or phrases they like to use that the common people really don't know what the heck they're talking about. Let's start out with an easy one. At the end of my videos, I always say ride hard and die free, RHDF. The other version of that is ride hard, live free. You'll see that too for the people that aren't so much into dying. Not that I'm into dying. You know, when I say die free, it comes as a different meaning to me. You know, I'm a Christian man, so my belief is that when I do die, I'm going to be free of this world and move on to a better place. That's where I'm coming from with that one. So either way you want to say it, that's one of the common things you'll see. I first saw that when I was in Sturgis, but it was back in the early 70s. And there was a pickup truck on the side of the curb there, and the whole back of the truck was loaded with t-shirts. And I walked up to see what they were, and it was one of the notorious biker clubs that were selling t-shirts there. And one of the guys picked up a t-shirt and threw it at me, and I think he told me $15. I asked him for, I think, a medium. I was pretty skinny back then, and he said it was an extra large, one size fits all. I took the t-shirt, gave him the money. I didn't want to argue with him. Yeah, he was kind of a badass, and I was a little punk back then. I took the t-shirt and ran with it. On the t-shirt it said, ride hard, die free. And I just thought that was really cool. And so I kind of stuck with that ever since. Now here's another one you'll hear me talk about quite often, the yuppies or the rubs. Yuppie, kind of termed from the phrase yup, Y-U-P, and the rub, R-U-B. The yuppie, young urban professionals, and the RUB, rich urban bikers. So I kind of throw them all into the same bag. They're the same thing. Now these guys are usually middle-aged, upper-class citizens, white. They usually make a lot of money. They want to be a badass, so they take their wad of cash and they go right down to the dealership and they buy a brand new Harley. Usually the biggest, baddest bike there. The big dresser with all the bells and whistles on it, which they probably know very little about, nor do they know little about riding and the skills that are needed to ride. You know, unlike a lot of bikers, they'll get all the trimmings on their bike, which usually includes, you know, the heated handlebars, the luggage racks, the stereo, the raised back support, the cruise control, and completely useless items. Basically, they just end up buying a two-wheeled car. And they really don't have any idea how to maintain it. They don't even know how to use a wrench. So, you know, they're not mechanics. They're going to have to take it back to the dealer anytime something breaks on it. Very rarely will you ever see them go over the speed limit. When these guys do wreck their bike, it's going to cost them thousands of dollars just because of all the crazy gadgets they have on it and the fancy trim. They're the ones that aren't going to ride them very far, though. They're going to put them on a trailer them to all the rallies and stuff. They're going to get out, you know, 20 miles out of town, stay at the Hilton. They're going to dress up in their leathers, throw a little dust on their coat, jacket, and then they're going to ride into the rally and you know, kind of blow the dust off and act like they've been riding all day. That's what I call a rub, a yuppie. That's where I'm coming from with those guys. Another common thing you'll see with these guys, so they can try to look like badasses, they'll buy these really expensive custom choppers. You know, the kind with the fancy paint job, the big fat back tire, the really low fenders, the raked front end. There's nothing wrong with custom chopper now. I love going to the Easy Riders show and checking out all the customs. I mean, they're works of art. They're beautiful. But as far as riding them on the road, I call them bar hoppers. There's another phrase for you. What's a bar hopper? It's the bike that is okay if you're just going from here up to the bar, but if you're going to take any long ride on it, that's not going to happen. I've ridden with these guys before. You know, these customs, they got big bore motors on them. They overheat, they get hot, things break. They're not designed to take the kind of stress of just cruising for long distances. They're a rough ride. They're uncomfortable too. You know, some of these bikes have like a rigid frame. Some of these customs do too. And it kind of goes back to old school. What's a rigid frame? It has no suspension. The frame is bolted right to the wheel. There's no swing arm, you know, there's no shocks. In fact, some of the really old bikes, they had springs incorporated right in the back of the seat. That was the only shocks you have. So they called those hardtails also. Hardtails or rigids. And I'll tell you, if you plan on going anywhere long distance on one of those, you better be one heck of a bad dude, because your tail's going to be hurting big time. So that's where I stand on that. I think they're neat. I love the classic bikes. I love the custom choppers. But like I said, I call them bar hoppers, because you can't really run the miles with them, or you're going to pay the price. Now here's one maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't. Dillegaff. What's Dillegaff? It's an acronym. The initials stand for, do I look like I give a, do I look like I give a F? That's Dillegaff. The other one, FTW, you know what that one is? You also see FTP. It's F the police or F the world. Those are people with pretty bad attitudes. You'll see some tattoos with that. And, you know, I don't know. Not for me, okay? You might have heard this one if you're a partier. FUBAR, effed up beyond recognition. Yeah, that's pretty messed up. Some of the other terms bikers are going to use is going to be the cage. Cage is an automobile or a vehicle. It could be a truck, it could be a car. Cager is one that's in that vehicle. The driver or the passenger, they're all cagers. We're bikers, they're cagers. Now we're going to get into some of the heavier stuff. The 1%. What's a 1%er? You know, I see these guys with the 1% on their sleeve, or a tattoo that says 1%. Well, this was termed way back. The media had put out a statement saying that 99% of the bikers were good and only 1% of them were bad. Thus came the term the 1%ers. The 1%ers are usually the outlaws, and they are really 1%. There's not too many of them percentage-wise in the world of bikers, but they are out there. Now there's some other acronyms that go with some of that stuff, and I warn you about some of this stuff. When you're dealing with what we call the big four, the big notorious clubs, you don't want to play around with their stuff. So if you're a member or if you're affiliated, that's fine, as long as they know what's going on. But if you're going to represent them in a way that they're unaware of and you're not a member, you're asking for trouble. Let's take AFFA, for instance, AFA. What the heck is AFA? It's Angels Forever, Forever Angels. You're not going to wear that patch unless you are a club member. Okay, I'm gonna put both of these two together here. These patches here. The one is Alpha, and the one on top is a big red 81. What the heck is the 81? The 8 is the 8th letter of the alphabet, H, and the 1 obviously the A, the first letter of the alphabet. So 81 stands for HA, which is Hell's Angels. You're not going to find the flaming skull on t-shirts, hats, or anything like that unless you are a full-fledged member. So don't be trying to buy that stuff online and wearing it around, flashing it around, because if you did run into a member of that club, you're probably going to get your ass beat, if not worse. You don't represent unless you are definitely representing that club. So just a little warning out there. Now that can also, that AFFA, say if you're in one of the other clubs, it could be MFFM, BFFB. So, I mean, you use your imagination, you can enter any letter you want depending on which club you're in. And that's what those things are for. Now, if you're not affiliated with any club, like I currently am, I'm not affiliated with anyone, that's called independent. So I'm basically an independent. I have been there and am not a member of any club right now. Totally independent, on my own. I don't affiliate with anybody. So there you go, cats. Those are some of the big ones. Maybe you've got some other ones you use or that you know of. I might have forgotten a couple. I don't know. When you're in the culture, there's all kinds of little secret codes. Sometimes you got secret biker handshakes. That's pretty cool. You kind of know who your posse is, who your bros are. And you usually have little things that you know that most of the common people don't know, little codes, little things you say. But those are some of the big ones today. Like I said, if you got some other ones, throw them in the comments down below. So share them with the rest of us. Like to hear them. You probably heard a whole bunch of them. And there's a whole bunch more out there. I could go on and on with just some ridiculous ones. But those are some of the biggies today. So there you go. Moving on. Catch you around next time. Till then, ride hard and die free.